Welcome to Wild and Finally Fucking Free, the show for disruptors, rebels, and revolutionaries who know they're here to change the damn world. I'm Kylie Patchett, your voice and visibility catalyst, and here we dive into unapologetic truth, magnetic messaging, and visibility that actually feels good in your body, your bones, and your business. We share the stories of the out-of-the-box, neuro-sparkly, creative, witchy wild ones, rewriting how we live, love, learn, and lead. This isn't about being louder. It's about being rooted, resonant, and regulated so you can be real, raw, and ready to roar. If you're done contorting yourself to fit the mold and you're ready to own your voice, your power, and your place in the revolution, welcome home. Let's dive in. Hello there, friends. Welcome back. It is season 6 of the podcast. Still the same fabulous name because, of course, we will have to swear in our title. But we are zooming in this season on some really specific topics all around voice, visibility, magnetic messaging, and, of course, business energetics, which is where my heart lies. So I have just taken the most delicious, I keep saying it's a 5-week break, but actually I was offline for almost 7, so almost 2 months. And what a delicious little point in time I gave myself. Not only did I rest and I gave myself some wintering time and that cyclical, beautiful space just to not always be on the go and not always switched on. And what it actually gave me, I feel so much more rested, number one, physically, energetically, emotionally. But what it really gave me was a chance to tune out all of the outside noise and to really tune in to my beautiful heart. And man, oh man, did she have a lot to say. So I would love to share a little behind the scenes story because I'm going to be outing myself here. Now, if you've worked with me or if you're one of my friends that listens in, you will not be surprised by any of this. But for our other listeners that don't know some of my backstory, and I've spoken about this sometimes on the podcast as well, I was in business as an online entrepreneur back in 2011 to 2017. And what I created was an entrepreneurial business which was as bad for my health, for my own flow, for my freedom, for my family time, as working in corporate. And here is why. I still had such strong conditioning around my work equaling my worth. And so there's a part of me, a conditioned part of me, and all of us have different patterns and different ways of turning up in the world. This is why I love energetics, right? And there's a part of me which I call the overpreneur, which is literally addicted to the hustle and addicted to the productivity and addicted to the ticking things off. So much so that if I let myself, and this is still like an Achilles heel for me, but I'm very aware of it these days, I will still tip into working way too many hours, not having anywhere near as much fun and freedom and flexibility as is good for me. And I have really, really gotten to know this part of me because just recently I have been deep diving into human design, but more specifically True Sidereal Human Design. So in traditional human design, I am a 3-5 generator. If you don't know much about human design, it's basically a system for self-awareness. It's based on multiple different things like the chakra system, like the I Ching, like the Kabbalah. And it all comes down to who you're here to be and based on what is happening in the sky at the time you're born. And I figured out that the whole tropical astrology and therefore tropical human design end of things is this assigned thing. So we just say I was born on January the 30th. So my assignment is as an Aquarian. But the thing is that when I was born, Aquarius was not what was in the sky. And so I discovered True Sidereal, which is actually based on the astrology that really was in the sky at the time you were born, not just the assigned sign by date, So just to explain the difference between tropical and true sidereal. Tropical is based on seasons, so it locks the start of Aries to the spring equinox in the northern hemisphere. And then the zodiac signs are all tied to the Earth's relationship to the sun, but not to the actual positions of the stars in the sky. And this is a system that most Western astrology uses and therefore human design by default. However, true sidereal is not using the assigned places in the sky. It's using the actual constellations in the sky. So it takes into account what's called the precession of the equinoxes. That's basically like the Earth's little wobbly that it does over about 26,000 years. So the signs line up for the real star constellations. So the dates for the signs are different and sometimes longer or shorter than the next sign because some constellations are bigger and so therefore in the sky for a longer time. So in general, if you're born in the last 50 years, whatever your assigned sign was at birth, in true sidereal, you're about 27 degrees earlier than that. So I thought I was an Aquarian with a Virgo moon and a Cancer rising, and I'm actually a Capricorn with a Gemini moon and a Leo rising, which makes far more sense to me. Anyway, long story short, got into true sidereal human design, was delving into the study of the different energy centers in the body. And I was like, oh, interesting. In tropical, I have only got a couple of centers that are defined, but in true sidereal, I've got 2 centers that are not defined. First one, sacral. Second one, the wheel center. And if you know me, oh my goodness, so much of my conditioning just plays this out. Anyway, so I've been using human design to help my clients to understand the ways in which they're naturally meant to be communicating in the world, naturally meant to be flowing. So for me, I'm actually a 1-3 manifestor. And a manifestor is not designed to have these huge, long stretches of like day in, day out, action. Manifestors are actually designed and feel best when they have big creative urges and surges, when the time is right and when something drops into their mind. And then a beautiful ebb back to real rest, very inward facing. And this is why I finally gave myself the winter sabbatical. Now, I am totally changing the way that I do business based on all of this. The other thing that's been happening is in 2015, I wrote a book called Making Friends with Fear. Back then, I was very much focused on mindset coaching and I loved it. But this was in the days when I was running my Overpreneur thing. And that is actually one of the archetypes in my Making Friends with Fear book. And those archetypes basically represented these patterns that I saw my women entrepreneur clients getting almost like set points that their energy just kept getting stuck in. Now, back then I was focusing on mindset, but as I was studying human design, I actually realized that these archetypes for general business, I could actually really streamline into visibility symptoms, visibility blocks. And then on the flip side, this visibility superpower. And it all lined up to these human design centers. So, long story short, 7 anti-entrepreneurs in Making Friends with Fear book 2015 have become 9 anti-entrepreneurs, or I'm actually calling them visibility block fear frames, basically. The thing to know about these is that these are conditioned ways of moving through the world. Now, we could have been conditioned by the general systems of oppression, the patriarchy, the fill in the blank here, all the isms. We could have been conditioned by our family. We could have been conditioned by our culture, our communities, where we grew up, whether we had siblings or not, all of these things. This has become such a powerful map for myself to understand how to help clients much more specifically with visibility and voice limiting patterns of behavior. And this has just been like my pattern recognition, my ADHD pattern recognition brain is like, so excited. Because when you can introduce something to people where they get a better understanding of themselves and you can understand that these are ways that we've been conditioned Just like if you've been brought up in a family where your sticky note in your family is to be the good girl or the peacemaker or the rebel, the black sheep, whatever, there are ways that we've been conditioned. That's how we have to behave. That is our role to stay safe, to stay loved, to stay not rejected, etc., etc. The beautiful thing is when you understand in your business that the way that you're, like if you always procrastinate when you go to make reels or you go to speak on stage and you just lose your mind because there is something massive in you that just cannot imagine speaking live in front of X amount of people. Whatever turns up in your system, so often when I'm working with my beautiful rebel, disruptor, revolutionary, healer, helper, creative, neurosparkly clients, they're like, I just don't know why I can't do this. And you're like, okay, hang on. Always through a lens of compassion, always through a lens of self-awareness as well. And so these 9 archetypes are the ways that I've been helping my clients to understand exactly how they could have been conditioned and are likely to have been conditioned, and how they can alchemize it. So just like I stand totally against having any business strategy that says this will work for everybody, and we all know that's bullshit, right? We all know that me versus somebody who has a completely different background or a different skill set or a different energy, a different brain, we're all going to need different ways of showing up in the world. And that is why I am dead against anything that says we have to market this way, we have to communicate this way, we must follow the template. And I will say, if someone is trying to get you to follow the template, then they're actually missing the point and you're setting yourself up to fail. Because there is no template. There has never been anyone like you and there never will again. This is like my geneticist from my first career as a forensic biologist. I was fascinated by the fact that genetically, apart from identical twins, there is never, ever going to be another you ever again. Like you're unique unicorns, amazing, sparkly, fantastic people. So why would we then say, hey, Robin, Emma, Tara, Joe, and Elise should all use the same visibility strategy? And I'm like, what a load of shit. So, and I am so excited about this entire system that I've taken, and I feel like my original Making Friends with Fear book combined my training in traditional Chinese medicine, IFS, EFT, Oriental psychology, using the 5 elements theory to understand ourselves and our patterns, and the chakra system. So already Making Friends with Fear was like this apple strudel, layer upon layer upon layer upon layer upon layer of all of these ancient and modern systems that help us to understand ourselves. Now what I've done is just added in this final kind of icing on the cake of the human design understanding. And I tell you what, this apple strudel of anti-entrepreneurs and fear frames is freaking delicious. I have made this beautiful apple strudel system, and the aha moments that it has been creating for myself and also in my client community in the last 6 months or so, I just can't ignore it. Like, rather than saying to you, I teach voice and visibility, now I can say, hey, here's 9 archetypes. Based on your human design and the way you move through the world, here are the parts or the archetypes that you might have received the most conditioning around. So for me, going back to my original story, my 2 archetypes are the overpreneur, which is the overworker, person who forgets about joy, someone who lives in their head instead of living in their heart, so disconnected from their sacral center, basically. And the other one is called the blurpreneur. I don't find that plays out as much with me, but I definitely do have times where I'm like, who the fuck am I and what am I meant to be doing in the world? And I feel that is more often than some people. But I do find that specificity around the G center, which is my other open center, is something that does give those identity wobbles more. And I feel like that's been a real gift for me as well, because I'm such a Y learner, and I'm finding this with my clients as well. Once I can say, hey, here's where you might be conditioned. Do these feel like they're the things that block your visibility? And if so, here's the flip side of it, which is what I call the freedom frequency. So we're going from fear to freedom. And that is your greatest superpower. So as with everything, The things that you are served up to grow through are the things that will create your evolution. And that is such a blessing because you're like, I don't have to worry about any of that stuff. Here's my key Achilles heels, and here's the specific ways that I can start alchemizing them. Like, it makes things so much simpler. Very exciting news. Later this month on September the 23rd, and if you're listening to this after September 23rd, you will be able to do this entire live activation that I'm doing via Evergreen because I'll open it up straight away. I am running what I'm calling Raw Live. And the whole kind of why behind Raw Live is that we all know that the systems in the world are crumbling. We all know that there is so many ways in which the systems of oppression are getting worse and worse and worse, and we're at this pendulum swing. And the people I work with are the disruptors, the rebels and revolutionaries that are going to be paving or are already paving the new pathways that will create new paradigms, right? However, if we are all stuck with these conditioned parts, making sure that we're people-pleasing, staying safe, staying palatable, good-girling ourselves, dismissing and downplaying our own magic, we cannot contribute to building the new paradigms. There is no way that we can do both of those things. Good girls do not lead revolutions, but untamed, unshamed wild women do. So this visibility work is all about identifying your Achilles heels through the system that I have, and then me introducing you to the alchemy that will allow you to step from that fear frame into the freedom frequency. And then you are free to get the fuck on with going and changing the world. Because God knows we need every single one of us, right? So if you are listening to this and you have anything at all in business that feels like it's too unsafe, edgy, you might be afraid of success or afraid of failing, you might be afraid of being judged, you might be afraid of whatever, but it is stopping you from sharing your work in the world in a powerful way so that you can call in more of your soulmate clients and create more of the contribution and, yes, more cash flow. When we are hiding ourselves, we are not opening up the gates of wealth and abundance in our business. So we are running Raw Live, 23rd to the 25th of September. It is 3 days. The calls are 9 a.m. Australian Eastern Standard Time, which means the afternoon or evening before if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. The sales page information will be in the show notes. And I am so freaking excited. It is only $33. It will completely change the way that you see yourself. And if you're like the rest of my clients, it will give you a filter with which you can say, energetically, my blueprint has given me a chance to learn conditioning and to unlearn it so I can set myself wild and finally fucking free to be my whole unapologetic self. I'm so freaking excited about that. I bet you can tell. So join me live. We are going to be snack sizing our voice and visibility. I'm going to be sharing in the next few episodes all of the different archetypes so you can go, oh, and I'm also in the middle of designing a quiz. Hopefully we will have that ready to go very soon and I'll come back and drop it in the show notes. So for now, welcome back to season 6. I'm so freaking excited that you're here. And I will also still be interviewing disruptors, rebels, and revolutionaries that are here to change the world because us wild, wise, untamed, unshaden women need to step the F up, talk more about what it takes to actually show up as ourselves and support each other, sisterhood, community, holding each other up in our gifts. That's what it's all about. So big love from me to you. I'm so excited to be kicking off this season and I will see you very soon. Thanks for tuning in to another episode. If this episode lit a fire in your body, in your business, deep down in your bones, please take a moment to drop a rating and review so more rebels just like you can find us. And don't keep this goodness to yourself. Share it with your disruptor, rebel, and revolutionary friends who are ready to roar right alongside of you. Until next time, stay wild, stay unapologetic, and stay fucking free.